Hello, everyone, and good night. This is the Business Motivation Podcast, episode 6. I am your host, Matthew Farquharson, the Business Motivator. And tonight we have yet another special guest with us. His name is Stephan Roper, the founder of Roper Consultants. Stefan, say hello to the people.
Hi, afternoon, everybody. Matthew, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, Stephan Roper, the founder of Roper Consultants. Of course, I've known this young man for a few years. Back in those days when, he was, here in Jamaica, singing with his singing group. He is actually overseas now. So yes, this is the first international episode of the Business Motivation Podcast. So please make him welcome, man. Before we get any further, some of the terms that he might use may be a bit technical, but we're all here to learn, including myself. All right. Okay, Mr. Roper Consultants. Sounds very official. I really like the sound of it. But what do you do really? Because I know it's a technical thing, but I don't really know exactly what it is. So can you, in layman's terms, explain what you do?
All right, so basically, I'm a quantity surveyor, and that is like a cost expert in construction. So, I mean, layman's term, if you wanted a mortgage from NHT, if you go to NHT, they tell that you need an estimate that's going to reflect the respective items of work that you need to undertake and the cost associated to the respective item of work. So once you give me your drawings, or I might need to come and take measurements based on data that I have or that's presented to me, then I'll put together a legal document called a bill of quantities. So in a nutshell, basically, I quantify materials and build estimates for any form of construction, whether it's residential, commercial. Once there's details or drawings that reflects the work, then it can be a cost can be added to it, and that's where I come in.
Wow, that was a lot, and yes, it sounds quite technical. It sounds a bit tedious, to be honest. As a person who studies statistics in university, I know how dealing with numbers can be very tedious and time consuming. But, at the end of the day, the job has to get done. So, Mr. Roper, I do want you to get a little bit into your story. Now that we know what you do, I know I started out with that because, I want people to get a better idea as to what you do so that they can more understand your story when you're explaining it, right? So, I would assume that you studied. Is there a degree in quantity surveying or is it an engineering degree or what?
So I have a degree in quantity surveying from the University of Technology Jamaica, which is actually the only university in the Caribbean that offers said course.
Wow. Okay. So for those who are interested in that field, you know where to go to pursue that career path. I actually didn't know that it was a degree by itself. So thanks for enlightening me on that. All right. So you have a degree in quantity surveying. So what was your university experience like? I would assume that you didn't have many persons doing what you are doing. Am I wrong about that?
No, I think in my year group, we probably had about, I don't remember exactly, I think we had about 12 or 15 persons that graduated that year. But like you, Matthew, there are many other persons who are learning about the profession. And so basically, it's still, there are a lot of professions that exist now that's saturated.
That's
But
true.
this profession is growing in demand as persons realize, or as commercial entities, as persons doing regular construction realize the need of a quantity surveyor. You know, it brings more value to the profession. So it's a growing profession if there's anybody out there that wants to consider a construction related profession.
All right, awesome, awesome. So for those who are listening and you're interested in that field, if you're good at maths, this is one of the things you can do. This is the degree that you can go for. That's great. So you weren't, you weren't really to yourself then in university. So that's a good thing. But when exactly did you start this business? Because did you start while you were here or when you went overseas? Which one is it?
I started the business in December of 2018 officially.
Okay.
Um, and that was inspired through my no business mentor, Adrian Chin. So basically, an opportunity came up, and he said, "Hey, the best way to do this is if you go ahead and register a company." Now, I always knew I wanted a company, but then it took somebody investing their people currency in me, somebody trusting me enough to say, "Hey, Roper, I think you're at least okay enough with this that you can start a business," and that gave me the push to actually go and register and start and run the business for the past what three three years
Yeah,
basically.
3 years. Well, hold on. So you started when you were in the United States or here in Jamaica?
No, in Jamaica. I've actually
Okay.
recently been here in the US. Yeah, basically.
All right. And I see you mentioned two things that I need to touch on a little bit. Um, you mentioned having a mentor, and that's something that I preach here on the Business Motivation podcast. Um, it's always good, even if you don't have a mentor, it's good to have somebody there that can set you in the right direction. Um, in episode one, I spoke to Giovanni Maddox about his experience, and it was one of his friends that encouraged him to pursue entrepreneurship, and the rest is history. So, getting a good mentor can be difficult, but even before you get that mentor, it's good to have good friends, family members to set you in the right direction. And when you do get that mentor, take the opportunity with open arms because, look, it's not really too often you get people who would really take their personal time out and really believe in what you have to bring to the table. So if somebody sees that in you, you have to just run with it. All right?
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And you mentioned a very key element as well. It's having friends. I have had the same friends for all my life. Um, and we're talking about mentorship still. My friends are a big part of who I am today. I mean, yes, my parents and all those other persons who were a part of the scholastic development are important, but having persons around me that are called true friends who made me think at a higher level, who viewed me at a higher level than I actually was at, who always knew that okay, Stephan was destined for bigger things or great things, and because they saw me a particular way and held me to high standards, that intrinsically motivated me to want more, to create more, to launch off from a stable platform.
Awesome. And me as a business motivator, I can be that friend for you to motivate you and put you in the right direction. So you know who to contact. And the other point that I wanted to touch on is the fact that you said, it's a growing field, and I think that makes it more valuable in terms of what you bring to the table. Because, as you said, in your class it was like 12 persons. Now, I studied economics in university, and I go into a lecture theater, and you have hundreds of students doing similar courses to me, right? So, I mean, when you have such a rare skill, it makes what you bring to the table more valuable. So, my message is to you, those who are listening, try to develop a skill that is at least somewhat rare. I remember doing an interview for a statistician post, and at the end of the day, it turns out that they needed a more experienced person. But the fact that they saw that I studied statistics, they were really trying to, see if I can, get the job. But it because one of the person who interviewed me said, there's not many people who do this kind of thing. And I was like, really? Yeah, because look, enough people just don't like maths, especially in Jamaica here. It's
which is a huge stereotype. I think for me the beauty about numbers is numbers always prove true.
exactly right. That's right. The numbers don't lie. I say that all the time. But yeah, I think the reason why a lot of people struggle with maths is because it's a mental block. They just think it's hard before they even try it. But we're not here to discuss that. Try to develop a skill that is at least somewhat rare. It improves what value you bring to the table.
I,
Yes,
if I can just touch on that a little bit, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you need a rare skill or a new skill. It just means that it has to be. I would say it needs to be something that you are truly passionate about,
right.
and it doesn't matter how saturated the field is. It means that once you know how you're going to add value and bring diversity and difference and deliver, then that's enough for you to enter any saturated market with or something that once you have the passion that's going to drive you to make that difference, that by itself I think is adequate. I mean, of course you need skills and the mindset and the necessary tools to achieve it, but if you're passionate about it and you have the requisite skills to achieve it, then let nothing at all stop you. Whether the market is saturated, the difference that you bring to the table might be just what the market needs for you to.
Right. Awesome points. Stefan made some very important points a while ago. Authenticity, bringing your flavor, bringing your value to the market is very important. Of course, you can get pointers like this and more in my free ebook, Prioritizing Your Business Vision. Email will be in the description. You can just send me an email and you get the book. It's as simple as that. Volume 1, by the way. Right, and you made a very important point there. Just about every, well, not every, but most things we can think of right now is kind of saturated. Even this YouTube thing, right? There are millions of YouTube channels out there, millions. But it's like the top 10% actually make money off YouTube, right? Because they're bringing something special to the table. They're adding their kind of value to the table. So yes, even though I said try to develop a skill that's at least somewhat rare, even if you do develop this skill, there are still other people who are doing it the same way, right? Even if you find a niche market, you're still not the only one there. So you still have to add your value to the market. And just to make reference to what you said about being passionate about what you do, episodes 3 and 4 come to mind immediately. Especially episode 4, I was speaking to Mr. Ming about his his purpose. He decided to attach his business to what his purpose in life is, and that helped him to move forward. So you have to find a purpose. Um, in my free ebook, I call it finding your why. WHY. That three-letter word. Amazing. All right. So we're getting into a good discussion. We're making some very good points, but I want to backtrack on your personal experience now. You said you started while you were in Jamaica, and now you're in the United States. Um, First and foremost, are things much different between the two markets?
So I'm in construction, and the truth about it is that principles don't change. Standards are different, but principles remain the same. So the principles of construction are the same in Jamaica and in the US, but the standards are different. The methodology, the way they do things, the culture is different, but the core of it is all the same. I remember I was doing an interview and I was asked the question, how do I think the US market differs from the US industry differs from the Jamaican industry? And the main difference is really in methodology.
Okay.
They do things a little differently. I mean, in Jamaica, I don't think that we're big on timber construction and frame construction. We're more a traditional block and steel kind of people, concrete, cement. While in the US, a lot of the work that is done here is mostly drywall, um, a lot of timber, and woodwork. So the main difference, like I said, is methodology, but the core of it, the principles are all the same. I think the US has a more, of course, they're more technologically advanced than we are, so they have better tools that support the effort better, that makes the work easier.
Right.
But the core of it is the same. I'm seeing things that I can apply from in Jamaica here in the US, and I see things that I've learned here in the US that I can easily apply in Jamaica, and that's just how connected the industry universally is.
Okay, that sounds good. So it wasn't much of a learning curve when you moved over there. All right.
No, I I had and still have a huge learning curve.
Okay.
I and a big part of it is I think in the Jamaican industry there was still a lot more to learn, but I had the foundation down. I knew the core of it all. I remember coming here and initially starting this new opportunity that presented itself as a construction estimator, and I had to be asking somebody else for help. And it, like I said, it was a humbling learning experience for me because I had to use that as okay, fine. I had to evaluate myself daily. Say, okay, fine. Yes, I know I'm accustomed to knowing everything or knowing most of what there is to know, or having the resources readily available to call somebody who already knows. But here I was in an industry, nobody knows me. Nobody even knows my degree.
Wow.
But the good thing is, and it's a huge part of making any business successful, it's making the best of every opportunity that comes by. So the opportunity came, and that's a story by itself. When the opportunity, somebody called me one day and said, "Hey, I see your resume. Do you know how to use a software called RS Meet Online?" And I said, "No, I've never heard of the software before." They said, "Okay, fine, look into it." 3 weeks after they called me and said, "Okay, come for an interview." What I did in that 3 weeks, I went ahead and I paid for an online course. No, I didn't know if I was going to get the job, but I figured at the end of the day, education is an investment that nobody can take from you. So whether I had gotten the job, yes or no, I was still going to go ahead and take on the course. I did the course, learned the course, started the job, and when I went and told them that in the interview that hey, I went ahead, learned the course, they told somebody else, and everybody was impressed. To the point where the person that they told offered me a position, and when I had an opening, I applied for, and they said, "Well, we heard that you took the initiative to go and learn and learn the software to apply it." So the core of it really is an opportunity presented itself. I was I didn't have the necessary tools at the get go, but I took the initiative to invest in myself, and that's what being a successful anything entrepreneur means. It means taking the time out to evaluate yourself, knowing exactly where you're at and where you need to be, and set your path to get there. When you set the path, and the path doesn't mean sometimes the path will mean spending some money. Sometimes the tools you need isn't directly related to the field that you're in. I think it's Robert. Um, I'm not sure remembering what his name is now, but he said that many business persons are one trade away from being truly successful. So you
Okay.
can be an amazing doctor, but what if you took a sales course or a marketing course that taught you how to market your skill set?
Wow.
So a lot of things. So for me, that course, the opportunity came, did the course, got the job, and it meant spending a lot more time in learning the course. It means I had to watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos to the point now where I'm not fully. I wouldn't say I'm 100% proficient in the software, but I know enough to satisfy my employers.
Oh, awesome. That was a lot. So really key points were hit a while ago. And the biggest one I think is investing in yourself. Educate yourself. Even if you don't have the money to pay for a course, there are free online courses out there that can, make you a bit smarter. Even if it's, little steps. Make those little steps. Don't just stay where you are. Invest in yourself. Invest in your skills. Very, very good points. That was pretty cool though. Like, they actually ask you about the software and you took the initiative. Yes, life is all about initiative, people. You might never know what will happen, once you take that initiative, to get to, the other step. But let me ask you about your clients now. You are a consultant now, right? Um, are your clients satisfied?
I believe so. I try my very best to satisfy. A concept that I'm learning now is under promise, over deliver. Um,
Ah,
I'm trying as best as possible to take the time out to figure out what my clients want. It's not just for. Of course, I want your money. I do. I mean, for any
yes,
business to be successful, it means me taking your money.
yeah,
But I want your money, and I want to deliver good service. So I tell all my clients that okay, fine. I might do an estimate for you for to get approved for the loan for NHT. And when you get approved for the mortgage, call me at any time during the construction process to ask me whatever question. And for me, I feel like I don't charge for consultation. It's well for residential projects. Commercially, it's a little different, but be, I try to deliver A1 service because, for one, I'm a stickler for great customer service.
right.
I don't always get it right. Sometimes there are some little things that might happen during the process, and and in those cases, I try to keep the lines of communication free and open, right? But I believe I'm satisfying my clients. I strongly believe so. Maybe one of these days, um, you have to bring one of my clients on and ask them personally.
Oh well, I mean, maybe one day we can set things up and have you back on the podcast. Who knows? That's actually a good idea, and I might take the initiative to set that up. Anyway, right. So customer service very important. Listen, I remember when I used to do Zoom meetings and we talk about business topics, and one of the topics was things I do not like about Jamaican businesses. And of course, the customer service aspect was one of them. No, this does not apply to every business. I have experienced good customer service here, but a lot of the times it's like you're begging people to serve you, and it's you paying your money, you know.
I agree. I was interested in watching something on, I think, Instagram, where it was saying Jamaican restaurants in the US, it you have to buy the food when it's open because you never know when it's not going to be open.
Oh boy. See? So I do commend you for really highlighting customer service because you mentioned yes, you want the money, but you want to bring your A game, equal value exchange. Very important in business.
In
Yes, go ahead.
addition to that, even your smallest client has a network. So
Ah, that's true.
I might do a small estimate for you, Matthew, but you're in the statistics field. You might know somebody who wants to do $1 billion house somewhere. And just from me meeting your needs, satisfying your customer service requirements, and delivering on what you're paying me for, and I might have given you a big discount as well because I believe in discounts because this is it for me. It's the person I give a discount today will be the teller in the bank tomorrow.
Okay.
So I don't undervalue my work, but no man is an island.
Ah.
And again, the network. You don't know. Some persons might just need a simple service now, but if you really saw the network that is behind that person, you would offer. You go above and beyond to satisfy that person.
Awesome, awesome. Very good point. You can never know who knows who, especially in Jamaica where links run things.
Right.
You can never know. So please, guys, those who have businesses, customer service, customer satisfaction, very important. And for those who are considering starting a business, have that in mind. Have a plan on how you're gonna serve these customers. Because at the end of the day, yes, you want the money, but they want good service. And because they're giving you the money, they deserve it.
I agree.
No, I'm gonna be a bit controversial here. I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you think the customer is always right?
Honestly, there's a time and place for everything under the sun, and I think yes, you're paying for a service, and I don't think every customer is always right. Life is a matter of perspective. But at the end of the day, if I value you enough and you respect me enough, then we can agree that there are differences and work together to achieve the purpose. So no, I
Awesome.
don't think customers are always right. And sometimes, me as the business owner, I might not be right. But if I'm open enough to respect you and to listen to you, then through communication, we can bridge that gap.
Awesome. I agree with you. I don't think the customer is right all the time. Wow, this has been a really good conversation so far, but I do want to ask you though. So you talk about your time here in Jamaica and stuff, but then what's it like being in the United States doing this kind of work?
Somebody said something to me a couple months ago. They said to me, it's an estimator's world, not country. It's an estimator's world.
Okay.
And I'm a quantity surveyor. I'm just wearing the hat of an estimator for now. Because what I'm looking at right now is, yes, I still have a business going in Jamaica, and I put things in place to make sure that all the needs of the business is satisfied. I still do all the work, but I still have a team behind me that goes above and beyond to make sure that whatever I need, whoever we need to meet, whoever we need to satisfy, is satisfied. Right? But being overseas most of the time, it allows me to gather enough information to equip myself with information to offer a higher level of service. I'm not talking just residential, I'm talking about commercial because I'm seeing a lot of things that is happening in the industry here that if applied to Jamaica would make the world of difference.
Right. So basically, your experience in the United States is basically like almost like going to university again. You're learning so many
All
new
over
things.
again.
You're learning
No,
so
all
many
over
new things.
again. Nobody knows me, and I think that's one of the reasons why I decided to take on the challenge. As willing to take on the challenge was because, okay, I've lived in Jamaica all my life. Um, I made a life in Jamaica, but here is an opportunity to challenge everything that I've known, to put it all to the test, to see if I'm good enough, to see if my support system is strong enough to recreate it all in a new country, or to level up on a different platform than what I've already established.
Ah, yeah, I really like that. And of course, that goes back to investing in yourself. I oftentimes I watch videos about successful people, sorry, and successful businesses. And one of the things that they always keep mentioning is to at least move out of your hometown, get out of that comfort zone. No, Jamaica is a very small country. Um, a little bit less in population than London, I think, and that's just one city, right? So let's just use London as a figurative, example now. Sometimes you have to leave London, right? Go somewhere else and gain more experience. Now, even if you don't get the chance to to travel, take on a new challenge. Sometimes you have to do things that you're afraid to do. And then you realize, this thing isn't that bad, Maybe I can continue doing this. Sometimes you're better at something than you think you are, right? And I'm leaving that as a word of encouragement to you guys. Those who are brave are those who are, afraid to do something, but they do it anyway, right? So you have to be brave in life. It's a part of life, and it's a huge part of business. I was talking to Shanil Martin for episode 5, and I mentioned that doubt kills more businesses than anything else. Because some people we're so afraid we don't want to take that step, and a good mentor can really push you, you know, further. If you're afraid, but you still have to put in the work yourself. Mr. Roper, I do have a question though. So what are the challenges? Were there any challenges that you've, gone through in starting up this business? Maybe lack of finances, or, maybe the COVID thing made it harder. I don't know. Can you enlighten us?
So initially, so the I'm in a service industry, and
Right.
the deliverables are mostly dependent on me. It's I'm not in goods and service. So basically, with COVID, I didn't have to rely on anybody else to get anything done. And sometimes relying on third parties to do things for you doesn't always work out. But for me, it's me and my brain power. Once I have a skill set, and I think when I think about it, Jamaica places great emphasis on formal education, scholastic education, but I think a lot more value or equal value to be placed on technical education. Because
Amen.
with a skill set, and I'm going to say I don't just have a career or a profession, I have a skill set that nobody can take from me. Right? So with that, I have been able to adapt to the changes, and it's a part of being in business. You have to be innovative, you have to be willing to be diverse and to change in an ever-changing world and society. So as things change, you make the necessary changes to meet the needs that will come up. Because in construction, we always say that there is no two projects that are the same. Every project has its own personality,
Okay.
right? So it requires diversity and flexibility in how you think and how you approach it to get it done. As it relates to startup, what I did initially before I went ahead and registered a company, I spent a little time building clientele, and it goes back to delivering good customer service. So I think I'm getting something right in that department. Uh, so while we advertise on Instagram and Facebook, but I think for me we have been more successful in each one. So I do some good work for you, Matthew, and some Mark needs somebody to an estimate. You pass me on to Mark. A
Mm.
good reputation takes you far enough that you won't need to rely on anybody. Like somebody was saying to me, Tesla. Have you ever seen a Tesla advertisement? You probably never see it, but Tesla don't advertise, but they believe that their work stands alone and should speak for itself. That's enough advertisement, good quality stands alone, and that alone will reach who needs to be reached.
Wow. Awesome. So, despite the challenges, you develop the mentality to press on. And your education, your investment in yourself, and all that stuff helped you to push forward. And this is why we emphasize these kind of things. It's because challenges will come. I often tell the story about Motorola. When they first started out, they were selling appliances, I think, and then that side of their the market failed, and so they changed up. They made some changes. They adapted and they started selling phones. And Motorola was a very popular phone brand back in the day. And so that's what you have to do. But you have to have the mindset, you know, and along with the knowledge and the skills, in order for you to press on. So, Mr. Roper, this has been a wonderful conversation. Um, I just want to ask you to give a final word of encouragement to those who are listening.
I mean, I'm going to say something that is very cliche, but the value that it has is beyond the words can really and truly express. Self belief. If you believe in yourself enough to take on whatever challenges that comes along, then that will be sufficient. Equip yourself with the tools. Once you have the tools and you are passionate about what you do, believe in yourself enough to push. And if you do that, then you'll overcome whatever challenges that come. Support yourself with persons who you know will support you. Support yourself with surround yourself with people who are more knowledgeable than you are. My
Right?
mother always said, "Show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are." Many of us as entrepreneurs, our problem is not our surrounding, it's how high we can think. So think up and think about where you are. Even if you're just starting a business today, there's nothing wrong with getting shirts with logos. The next level that you want a business to get to, that's the level that you operate at, right? So most importantly, I mean, I'm a Christian and I give God thanks for all my success. And a lot of times I don't even think myself successful because I feel like there's just so much more to be done. So I'm getting some things done, but there's so much more to do.
Right.
Uh, I'm happy that I'm getting some things right, but there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to get done. But I'm happy that I was surrounded by the right people and family and friends who motivated me in different ways that made me believe that I had enough to make it through any challenge and to thrive in any industry. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to start.
Awesome. Awesome. There were so many final words, in that a while ago. Stephan Roper, really, really thankful to you for coming on this episode of the Business Motivation Podcast. I am Matthew Ferguson, your host, the Business Motivator. Remember, always stay motivated. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you for the next episode. Okay?